They know us.
They should by
There's
now.
a thin line between heroism and madness.
Here the line fades to nothing at all. This is a world of capes and lunatics.
And nothing is off limits.
That's right, you know who we are. It's the Capes and Lunatics, episode 26. I am Phil. That man rocking out with it, well, was Charlie Esser.
The professor!
And the one hanging her head in shame is...
Hey, y'all, it's Lilith.
Hi, Lil.
Oh,
It's Lil Hellfire.
It's Phil, it's Lil, it's Charlie Esser.
There you go. That's our comic, Lil Hellfire. Just do a little cute kids comic with Lil Hellfire.
L-I-L, Lil Hellfire.
Yeah, just wandering around, being derisive at people because, hey, you know, tiny goths are very hip. Tiny nihilists are very hip.
Career in rap like 10 years ago with that name, Lil Hellfire.
Lil Hellfire?
DJ career. Don't tell anybody.
Oh yeah,
awesome. Look it up, man. I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Wow, starting right off with the random nonsense.
Yeah,
that's what we're known for.
Speaking of things, there is a lot of stuff on YouTube, but I also think that a lot of things are hard to find on YouTube. Today, I was looking for an HBO short called Cup or Cone that I remembered in my youth, and I couldn't find it. There's lots of things called Cup or Cone, but none of them are the actual short film Cup or Cone.
I'd be afraid to look out.
Well, as the AI gets better for, looking for stuff that's not supposed to be there, things will get harder and harder to find.
Yeah, and it probably is somebody's copyrighted material that I shouldn't be watching for free, but But I'm so used to it.
Speaking of AI,
well, you know what? I need to go to the HBO Go app and see if they have like their old shorts from back in the day because those are great.
I don't think they do. But you should write to them in that old-fashioned way, Charlie.
An old-fashioned email way, the way our Maz and Paz once did.
Don't tweet them. Write them the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, seriously, your app will have much more content if you have everything you've ever done.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that HBO didn't do it. They bought like a bunch of student films, and there probably were like rules on how they could use it. But it was great because you got to see all these great student films.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was cool, and there were like some actual filmmakers and like people that with names. Because I remember there's the one about the guy who eats the fried eggs and then becomes the fried eggs, and that was actually done by that's actually like and that's actually one of the ones you can find on YouTube. The glutton who eats the universe and then becomes eggs and somebody else's meal. It's cool. That was one of the more trippy ones, and then there's like there's like four that really stick out in my mind. There was that one. There was Cup or Cone, which is just beautiful, about a couple that goes to an ice cream parlor and they can't handle all the choices. So true for our modern age. And then there's the one about the chauffeur chasing his boss on the sled, which is a great little slapstick bit. And the other one, this is my favorite one, is this I forget what it's called, but this woman gets this random phone call. It's the maid. She answers the phone. She says, with her. Because this was the 80s, for a very heavy Spanish accent, it's, hello, and it's like, hey, and the guy says, hey, is my wife there? And says, oh my goodness, I hate to tell you this, she's in the other room having sex with her boyfriend, and he's like, listen, here's what I want you to do. I need you to grab the gun out of my drawer. I need you to go in there. I need you to shoot them. Don't worry, I'll cover it up. I'll protect you, but I need you to shoot them right now. I need you to shoot them right now and get rid of the gun. And he says, I can't do this. He says, listen, if you don't do that, I'm going to call immigration. You're going to be out. You're going to be out of this country and all this kind of stuff. And so she goes, she kills them. Then she runs to the backyard. She throws the gun into the river behind the house. And she runs back and says, okay, it's done. It's done. He says, excellent. What did you do with the gun? And she says, oh, I threw it into the river in the backyard. He goes, river? Oh, I'm sorry, wrong number. Love that one. It just spoke to me as a child.
Bad hombres.
Yeah.
Philip.
Okay.
So, what are we talking about this week? Already.
Well, you said you were talking about AI, but did anyone see that story? What was it? At least a week or two ago, and I was like, "Is this real?" Or like, was it some company created like the first like artificial person? I guess.
Well, there's lots of artificial people, Phil. You got to be a lot more.
It said something about like the first, like real,
No, the first was a AI.
Oh, sorry.
No. There is actually, and if you watch some documentaries on her, they do trot her out. She is a AI based on this guy's dead wife, and she's up in, I want to say, it's in Maine. I can't remember the actual name of the story, but they interview her on This American Life, and they have that one guy with the Blackpool accent interview her, and it's pretty cool. I think it's a Blackpool accent. I could be mistaken. It's definitely a northern accent. But yeah, and she was made in like the 1980s, and it's basically all of these thoughts and ideas from the guy's wife before she died. And he like loaded them up onto a hard drive, made a little model of her, and you can sit there and talk to her, and it'll interact with you with like, classic 80s animatronics.
Oh dear, nightmare stuff.
Yeah, but it actually is really interesting because as IA go, it's actually pretty amazingly advanced. So as far as AIs go, it's very easy. It's very easy to make a really nice animatronic nowadays. That's not as creepy as they were in the Hall of Presidents. And to have it talk is actually, talking AI. That's just Siri,
Mm.
So it's actually pretty easy to do all that. It's just having it actually be anything more than just a parlor trick is what's difficult.
Call me when the robots can walk like us without falling down and breaking everything.
That will never happen. Putting robots on legs is just, first off, why do you need that? That's why robots have wheels.
You know why, Charlie. You know why.
Because, look, all I'm saying is, well, first off, you wanted the robots on wheels because you want to be able, in the robot apocalypse, to run down 3 flights of stairs and completely end the robotic apocalypse. That's the thing. Letting Daleks have all-terrain access is what ruined the Daleks for me. Well, not ruined the Daleks, but it was obviously like that was the design flaw in the Daleks that made us, anyone ever resisting Dalek domination made sense. But then when they say no, actually Daleks can fly now, it was like, well, now we're screwed. Once it is, well, maybe they hover and maybe they can fly, and then it's like, well, now, how does the Doctor win every time? Is the question that we next have. And speaking of the Doctor, have we seen the Doctor's new outfit?
Beach ready, baby.
Yes, man. Clam diggers and work boots with suspenders.
I just feel like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I don't like it. I like the suspenders. The clam diggers, I'm not feeling.
The clam diggers are a little weird. My nephew made a point that, she's showing us, her lower calf. Because, it's all about skin now that the Doctor is a woman.
Well, at least she doesn't have a boob window, so there's that.
Well, that's that. I mean, I know nothing about Doctor Who, but that was my thought. I was like, are they going out of their way to not like over-sexualize the first female Doctor?
But British people, calves are sexy, man.
Yeah,
calves
man.
and shoulders.
Everyone loves the calf. I like it. My biggest thing, and this is what I said, is the departure, is that they're clam diggers. This is clearly beach wear. And, I don't really think of the Doctor as a beach kind of guy. Or to be more specific, the only time I think about the Doctor in beach wear is like when he's wearing like an 1800s swimsuit, which I've seen. I know that was Matt and I think Silvestri also wore the 1800s style swimsuit in the past when they've gone to a beach or a swimming pool. Yes, but no, I mean, I like it. I don't know if blue's the right color for the pants, but I don't want to get too. But you know what? Quite frankly, the Doctor. It's about time the Doctor had some color again. We had that whole thing with the one Doctor saying, "I'm not going to be the Raggedy Doctor anymore. I'm going to dress nice." And it's like, the Doctor doesn't dress nice, mister. I expect lace cuffs and celery sticks, or you are not my Doctor. And it all started with that first Doctor in the new series where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to wear a black leather jacket, and I'm just going to be cool, Doctor."
The only thing I can say
cool
is bow ties and fezzes are cool. So
yes, they are.
And now we got suspenders, so I can't wait to throw the hodgepodge costume together.
I love it. I love it. And like I said, I like the work boots with it because I think that's first off. It's about time the Doctor had adequate footwear for walking around alien environments. You know, the man's wearing loafers, walking on hot lava. That doesn't make any sense. At least now we got some things that are like good, real, sensible shoes for running across forest landscapes trying to avoid weeping angels. So, about time. Took a woman doctor to say, you know what? Maybe I just want comfortable shoes. So there we go. So already the changes are happening.
Well, at least they didn't go Birkenstocks, you know?
Yeah. Well, no, but see, the Birkenstocks would have gone a little bit more appropriately with the clam diggers.
But you know what I mean, that whole stereotype thing.
I know.
I'm glad they tapered that down. So
yes, no, it's a nice look. It's a nice look. Some people have said, you know, that the vertical stripes and no boob window, but you do got a vertical stripe along the boob. So you know, we are still drawing attention. But they said the rainbow stripes and the suspenders reminded them of Mork from Mork.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that may well be intentional. Maybe it's a call out to famous aliens of the past.
Do British shows really put that much thought into stuff like that? I feel like they have like 5 sets and 6 costumes and like 9 actors. So do they really?
Well, what I'm going to say is, well, first off, if it's a doctor's costume, I think they put a lot of thought into it. Because they know this thing is going to be cosplayed for decades. For goodness sakes, people still cosplay as the TV movie Doctor from the 90s, you know? And nothing against the poor guy. I got nothing against him as a doctor, but you know.
He tried.
He tried. He did his best, man. And he, you know, they tried to do a nice little, and with his costume, it's a neat little throwback to that first Doctor's outfit, you know. Even the hair is very, very much of that first Doctor look. And, you know, I mean, the Doctor's outfits, ever since they switched Doctors, they became really important. And that second Doctor, man, I'm blanking on all the Doctors, like, actor names now. And he was the first guy who said, I'm going to just dress up like a hobo. And he wanted to bring in that Charlie Chaplin Little Tramp aesthetic. And then that defines, then the Doctor from then on is that push and pull between, you know, fancy Victorian and Little Tramp, you know. And I think, you know, we go in this. And now, of course, in the last Doctor, we move away from Victorian wear very dramatically, where we get, although, again, like this season has very much been about moving away from that old school look on Doctors, where we do get modern outfits and modern clothing and clothing that, although honestly, the 70s Doctor probably was not that unusual given 70s fashion. Although Pertwee definitely had his what do you call it? His Liberace influence there. Yeah. See, Pertwee, Baker, and then Baker again. These guys I remember. Anyway, but yeah, so that's the Doctor's outfit. I like it. The clam diggers jump out at you, and that's like the thing that like I think that's where the disconnect is. But I think that's where they needed to disconnect.
It's big clam digger industry. They bribed them because they know the sales and clam diggers are going to go up. And vintage stores and things like that, yeah.
Not for nothing, you know, clam diggers are due for a comeback, you know. Capris have had their day. It's time for the clam digger.
The era of the clam digger is upon us. Get ready, people.
No, yeah. Well, you know, that was the thing. And I was debating when I first said, is that a Capri or is it a clam digger? Then I remembered Capri's taper at the calf. Clam diggers are full at the calf. Because the clam digger is meant to imply a rolled up leg, because you are digging for clams along the seashore, so your cups don't get wet. I know fashion. I can blog fashion if I had to.
Poor Charlie.
Poor Phil. One of these days, me and Chantel have to do a podcast about fashion.
I would pay good money for that.
Yeah.
Ooh. Now you're talking.
Yes, that would be fun. Okay, so that is the big controversy of the day.
Well, no, it's not the big controversy. Phil, thank you for rocking my world this morning with that whole Supergirl thing.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that last night. Yeah.
I mean, I've met that guy a couple of times, and that was like, for everybody that's had their accusation, I'm like, oh yeah, I could see that. But Andrew, that's sad, and we'll see where that goes. But Supergirl, I mean, with all the issues that Supergirl has, this is another one, and it's just wow.
Yeah,
like I said, you watch Buck is Next.
oh yeah. Anyway,
Scott Buck has harassed most of this world.
I was gonna say, yeah, just not in that way. He's just giving us iron fist.
I don't know.
Inhumans.
Although, there was it actually came out today. George Takei now has has an accusation against him. His accusation, and it's like here's the problem when you get all these accusations is that you really do start saying, well, okay. Let's get a little more details. Like Ray Moore's, it's like, okay, she was 14. It's wrong, even by Alabama standards. You know? Yeah. Well, yeah, because people say, oh, well, the age of consent is 16. It's like, yeah, but she was 14. Like, yeah, but it's 16. Yeah, but she's still 14. You know?
Yeah.
They say, but he didn't do anything. Yeah, except kiss her and, And God, honestly, I don't know what Ray Moore's sex life is. For all I know, he could be like, Pence, and like kissing is like third base for him. People can be like that. I'm not gonna do that. It's like honestly, if you're what's his name, Joss Whedon, just giving a woman a foot rub, that's like
Well, he has a known foot fetish too, so it's just
exactly.
Like...
Well, yeah. Well, only because we know it. But it's like, but Joss Whedon can sit there and be rubbing women's feet all day, and everything's not sexual harassment, according to most people. Whereas for him, it's very much sexual harassment. But of course, I'm sure women have that creepyar that tells them, you know what? If this was a guy who didn't have a foot fetish, this would just be him being real nice about my aching dogs. This guy just always wants to give me a foot rub. Now it's creepy. That's my guess. I don't know.
So, barking dogs, cute, Phil. So I don't know. It was like I would have expected the floodgates to open, not with Harvey Weinstein, but with Bill Cosby. Like with Bill Cosby, it was kind of like everybody just tried to pretend like it was this isolated thing.
Oh well, no. The reason why it was for Bill Cosby. So here's actually because it is all about politics. So Bill Cosby had already left the left, if it were, with his argument that African American people should get education and pull their pants up.
Yeah.
And speak politely to people. Very controversial stuff apparently.
Well, he was telling people to pull up their pants when he should have been keeping his, zipped.
Yeah,
I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No defense of Cosby. But the reason why it wasn't a bigger thing was because people had already started talking about Bill Cosby. People had already disliked Bill Cosby for other things he did. So when it all came out about Bill Cosby, he actually winds up with defenders on the right, which just made him even more of a right-wing icon. And what happened with Harvey Weinstein is he was such a known factor on the left that suddenly the right-wing media just jumps on him and is like, ha, and to tear him down. And then I think what really caused it was that the entertainment industry didn't defend him. They basically threw him right under the bus because it kind of reminds me of this episode of The Simpsons when they find out that there's the strip club in Springfield, and the two old guys, Abe and I forget his friend's name with the long beard, and they're at the city hall meeting, and he says, and Abe's friend says, "Are they talking about the bordello?" And he says, "No, idiot, the body house. Keep it quiet." And then they shout about how much we want to destroy the body house, because the idea is that I'm sure for a lot of people in Hollywood, they said, let us sacrifice Harvey Weinstein as quick as possible, show that we're shutting him, so that none of our other indiscretions come out. Unfortunately, that did kind of backfire. Now a lot of other indiscretions are coming out, but you know what? The vast I think the vast majority of people in Hollywood probably aren't rapists or sex offenders in this kind of way. And so a lot of them are probably like, you know what? Good. I know I'm clean, and because I'm clean, I think I'm safe.
There's just so many, and it's sad. I just hope nobody's story's getting like overlooked because there's such a flood of this every day. But I mean, all right, I'm not making a joke, and this is horrible. But do you think Bill Cosby didn't get the attention at first that Harvey Weinstein and the others are getting because his victims were for the most part unconscious?
Well, no, and it was so long ago. On top of that,
That too, yeah.
Harvey Weinstein has been busy, and it's like a lot of these stories are fresh, like 10 years or less. And when Gwyneth came out, because everybody was speculating she's gonna come out, and she's gonna come out. When she came out, it was just like,
well, that's the thing. I mean, Bill Cosby didn't have that many like A-list people.
It was like I think the most high-profile lady was Janice Dickinson, and people kind of just rolled their eyes about that. Unfortunately,
yeah,
I think that's what got the ball rolling. Now is Harvey Weinstein had a lot of A-list victims on his list.
Yeah, and you know, one of the biggest issues in any of these things is this question of consent. Because there's lots of things. So, for example, there may have been a lot of women that got a Sudafed Mickey from Bill Cosby who were aware that that's what they were doing and were into it. And so there's probably, for everyone that you hear, there's probably 6 more that it happened to who weren't upset about it. Because when it comes to consensual sex, it is a weird place.
I forget.
That's why you really should make sure before you go to some really weird fetish stuff that you ease into it with non-crazy fetish stuff first.
Yeah. To
see if they're cool with this other stuff. You discuss it beforehand.
I forget where I heard it, like years and years ago. There was I think an interview, some FBI guy or something, and he was like, yeah, for like every, for all these rapists and guys, for every claim you hear, there's probably how many behind the scenes that we never hear about.
Yeah, I mean, now it's a weird culture in Hollywood, and everybody knows the casting couch, and some people go along to get along, and that makes it even harder. So,
yeah. Well, there was a great moment I always remember because it was Florence Henderson on the old Politically Incorrect show, and she was talking to some, I think she was a Christian music star. And Florence Henderson was like shocked for her to say, I don't, basically Florence Henderson's thing was like, what do you mean no one's ever, forced you to do something for a role? Because from Florence Henderson's point of view, it was cost of...
I mean, Mickey, Slippin' and Mickey was like in those movies, and it was just the thing to do. Spanish Fly was the thing. Like, yeah.
Technically, Spanish Fly isn't a Mickey; it's an aphrodisiac. It's a subtle difference, but there is actually, and also Spanish Fly doesn't actually exist.
Oh
yeah, I know it doesn't.
Yeah, but you know what? There's the
idea of it though is creepy.
Bill Cosby had a whole thing about Spanish Fly in his act, and now people go back and they're like, he was a little too interested in that.
Yeah, but again, like I said, look, I grew up I watched a lot of R-rated comedies in the 70s and 80s. And Spanish Fly, because of what it was, and the idea behind Spanish Fly was that it was something that got you in the mood. And I've never felt that Spanish Fly, in its legendary form, was about removing consent. It was just about putting someone in a position where they're going to want to consent.
But are they taking that willingly or whatever?
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's never been in that context for me. It's just...
Yeah, well, like I said, it doesn't exist. So it's when it comes to the world of fantasy, I get the idea of fantasy. I get the idea of what if women actually wanted to have sex with, me as a person. And I get why that's an attractive idea to people. Granted, but this is what I always say, that's the difference between a lech and a criminal. Because a lech wants to have consensual sex with women. And wants to have lots of sex with lots of women. So, as I will say, I would say that, what's his name? Just died. Hugh Hefner was a lech. He had lots of sex with lots of women, but I'd like to think that for him, it was all about women consenting to sex with him for whatever reason. But they were that everyone knew what was going on, and it was about a woman choosing to have sex with him.
Yes. But,
Harvey Weinstein, it's specifically about women not choosing to have sex with him, and him being able to say, I know you don't want to be here, but I'm going to make you be here. And that's what gets me off.
Yeah, I mean, Hugh Hefner probably never forced anyone, but I mean, do you think every one of them was consensual? Do you think, it was like, hey,
the go along to get along, girls. I'm just saying.
Well, I think he intended them to be consensual. And yes, people go along to get along. I mean, every transactional relationship that exists is, look, this isn't how I wanted to spend my weekend, but quite frankly, I do see the advantage for me in this. And what I'm going to say is that for a guy like Harvey Weinstein, I think that a woman who did go along to get along is actually not what he wants. He doesn't want a Florence Henderson who's like, yeah, sure, okay. Okay, Harvey, I get the part, great.
He wants to lord his power over them.
Exactly. And this is why you also see that a lot of it isn't even actual sex. Because he doesn't want to actually have to commit to, okay, now I actually have to pleasure you.
There's some he wanted them to watch him shower.
Exactly. He wants that power dynamic, and that's what Louis C.K. wants. Although with Louis C.K., I do wonder how much of that is, I go back to my hotel room and masturbate if someone's there or not. But at the same time, bringing someone into that situation is just wrong, and you don't do that without saying maybe like, hey, do you mind if I masturbate? Do you mind if I take a moment and just do this? Because this is what I do at this time of night, every night, If you want, you can go to the other room. You can hang out in the kitchen while I do this. But I need to do this, and this is just my thing because I'm a weird, perverted guy, and this is my stuff. But, hey, we'll go back and we'll talk more about comedy after you get back, okay? But I need to do this right now. See, that's how a gentleman handles that sort of situation. He's upfront and he's honest. You don't just come out of the room and just start, doing it.
Okay. Charlie has to go meditate. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, but I'm saying, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. This sounds like the Deadpool podcast right now. So let's
Yeah, parental advisory on this one, kids. Apparently, sex does exist, and people have sex by themselves sometimes.
But you know what else we forgot to talk about last night, Charlie? Did you watch this week's Orville?
Yes, that. And speaking of sexual consent and Spanish Fly, because that is very much what it is. And it goes into this very weird spot on it. Just the idea of how, I mean, there's no, and again, it's very interesting to me because this actually does tie into Strike Zone, which we talked about Peter David with, and about how an alien culture might have these properties that are detrimental to people outside of their culture and maybe not even really realizing it. There was a great line in that, which was the blue guy, I forget his name. He makes a point and says, hey, I'm sorry, in my culture, it's considered rude to refuse sex. Which makes sense that if you're a culture that goes into heat, that once you go into heat, everyone goes into heat. Everyone starts doing this stuff. And, it might be considered very rude if what? So I'm not good enough for you? But obviously you go into another culture and it gets weird. And of course you see these down ballot effects with the poor blob guy who finally gets to be with a woman he thinks is into him. And honestly, I would love to see if they explore that later, how it kind of sours the thing for I'm trying to remember what his name is. Is it Fez?
Norm Macdonald? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald's character. I would like to see him actually be kind of creeped out by the fact that she was only with him because of this chemical.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see him feel like he was the one who was taken advantage of because he didn't know that this chemical was present. Now, the other guy, the blue guy, he should know enough about, especially if he's a cultural anthropologist, he should know that humans don't do this, and this is actually a weird, creepy out thing to them. So I don't think it's a defense for him. But I did think it was a very interesting take in this culture that we're currently in.
Well, Seth is he knows some stuff. If you watch Family Guy, you're just like,
Yeah.
No, seriously, he has called out a lot of people that are in the news right now.
Yeah. Didn't he call Kevin Spacey? At one point? Mm-hmm.
He called out Bryan Singer, a lot of people. A lot of people.
Yeah, he does. He does. I mean, well, he's not afraid to because and for what that can tell you, if nothing else, is that if nothing else, maybe the popularity of Family Guy. You know, here's one of the things that I always go back to about Trump is, you know, people always say, well, I love his honesty. And everyone says, but he's honest about being a horrible person. It's like, yes, but at least he's honest about it. And it makes me wonder, you know, if you were a politician who ran on the platform of, I'm going to raise people's taxes because we have to balance the deficit. We're going to try and put it on the wealthiest as much as we can, but, you know, everyone might have to pay a little more. We might have to cut back some benefits, but we're going to be really strategic about it. And I really want to put forth this argument that we need to raise taxes, control our spending, and really focus on what is the best use of our money, as opposed to simply throwing money at things and saying, okay, you handle it, and pushing it all downstream, which is what we do now, which is the whole problem with block grants, is that the federal government gives money to the states, and then the states spend it however they want with no real oversight. And that was the biggest problem, is that with no real oversight, and of course, oddly enough, the closer to the people your politicians get, the less connected to their people they are. Because as politics gets smaller, it becomes a much smaller group that actually votes in those elections, and so a much smaller constituency that actually has to be appeased. So giving money to local politicians is always
like a Trump soundboard by itself. Like, I need to know. Is it just one Trump soundboard? Okay.
But I have wondered, like, if someone was just honest about what politics needs, without being pandering and racist about it, could they actually achieve good things?
No.
No?
Our political system is doomed. And
you're fired.
Yes.
We're beyond hope, Charlie. This is a nice thought. It's nice that people like you still think like that.
You know, where's the Lady of the Lake? You know, that monarchy idea is great if you just find the right monarch, you know?
I didn't vote for that king.
Exactly. That's the problem. You know?
I mean, I think I wouldn't have a big deal if your guy wins, you pay the taxes. If my guy loses, I don't pay the taxes. That's fine. Like, I think that's how that should work.
But then you also get no benefits. That's the problem. So you can say, you know, pay your taxes and get, because they've actually done that, where they've said, you know, you haven't paid your property taxes, the fire department's going to keep your neighbor's house from burning, but your house burns down. And that's a weird, crazy thing.
Going to pay for it, and they'll be happy to pay.
And it's an interesting idea, arguably. Though one wonders how you maintain a cohesive society in that matter.
Anarchy, you know? Let it all burn.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think anarchy is a great idea until you run out of ammo.
Exactly the point.
You know, it's like, it's great until, well, now I'm out of ammo, and now anarchy. Now I want someone.
Nope. Now it's time to go bury yourself in a hole and hope nobody walks over your hole.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the idea is that if you have a cohesive society, we can actually navigate these problems without having to resort to bloody murder all the time. I just said that human history is so filled with bloody. Human history is so full of bloody murder. I really think that, you know what? Maybe we actually stumbled on a good idea with societal structure. We don't eat each other anymore, for the most part, and that I think is a positive thing.
Well, I wouldn't want to eat an American for sure. We're filled with way too many chemicals. We probably taste disgusting.
No, not if you eat the Amish.
Ooh.
Yeah,
don't go promote cannibalism towards the Amish.
Yeah, but they walk everywhere. They're probably like tough and chewy.
No, they're nice and lean like venison, probably. Wait, what are we talking about? Philip, you're the moderator.
Let's see how far you go.
Doesn't listen too closely to this one.
You know, but there are all organic, grain-fed humans, or even grass-fed humans that you can find if you're really in the mood. Although, speaking of cannibalism, I was listening to Tell Me Something I Don't Know recently, and they were talking about, you know, the meat industry in general, and about how you carcass balance a side of beef if you're at an artisanal butcher's, you know, and about how they basically, most of the cow goes into ground beef, because most of your cow isn't really tasty unless we pre-chew it and mix the right amount of fat with it. which is why I always laugh whenever anyone says it's Angus ground beef, because it's ridiculous to say that the fact that the ground beef is Angus has any value.
I was gonna say it defeats the purpose when it's ground beef, just period. Okay.
Well, no. The purpose of ground beef is to take parts of the cow that aren't as tasty or don't have enough fat, to add fat to it, because the cow has extra fat.
Yeah.
So you can put the right amount.
I've never had good ground beef. I don't care what they tell me. I don't like hamburgers. I don't.
Okay. Well, that's what, it's actually quite tasty. I'll be honest with you, because you can actually take here's the thing about ground beef, the most flavorful parts of the meat are the toughest. So you can take that really tough meat that has all that flavor, mix in some fat, and make it chewy, so it's nice and tender, and you can have a really nice preformed bit of meat.
Sloppy
That's the idea behind
none
it.
of that.
Okay, that's fine. It's not for everybody. Not everybody has to eat anything. But you wind up leaving a lot of meat on the table is the problem.
Yeah.
Unless you're just going to do all roasts. Because you can roast anything. You know, you can roast a tongue. People do.
Cow tongue is not that bad, actually.
No, it's not. But I'm saying I mean, when you talk about your lean, tough meats, that's the one, you know. That is the one that is doing a lot of work with no fat on it, and yeah, it's going to be a nice lean cut of meat and heart muscle. Actually, I love heart, but again, a very tough muscle. And I love beef heart. That's delicious, but you have to cook it right. You can't just. Actually, I find that beef heart is really good. You chop it up and you put it in like a spaghetti, so it's nice and boiled. Put it in a nice bolognese sauce. It's actually quite good. But I always say you chop
eat a cow. Like, I've been looking at cows lately. I'm just like, how can I eat them? They're so cute.
They are delicious. Well, the thing is that if you're going to eat a whole cow, get yourself a nice lay-down freezer, because you're not going to be able to eat it all right away. But there's a lot of companies that will. I mean, there are a lot. And actually, I'll tell you, because my mom used to be a meat salesman. You can get a whole cow butchered to your specifications, and really that means how thick you want it. Because although. One of my mom's clients once said, "Can't we just cut it all into steak?" And my mom was like, "Sure, we can just cut it all into steak. You know, you'll have some of the worst steaks in the world, but sure, we'll just cut it all into steak. And you're probably gonna you're probably gonna overcook it anyway. So you know what? Fine. For you, it doesn't matter. You know, but that's the idea. Is that you want to make a delicious." But you can get a cow. Just get yourself a nice big lay down. Get commercial grade. You can buy commercial. I think Sears sells commercial grade. You want one that does a sub-zero, that goes below 0 Fahrenheit, because you've got to be in that like negative range. Actually, no, not below 0 Fahrenheit. You want to be in that real negative range so that all cellular activity stops, and you can keep it in there forever. Frozen meat will stay good forever. Just keep it frozen. Keep it keep it wrapped. It'll be good. You might get a little freezer burn if you don't wrap it properly, but if you keep it frozen in a nice vacuum seal, which most meat comes in nowadays, that'll be good forever. But you will get a lot of hamburger if you want a whole cow.
Life pro tip. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, no.
All right,
Trust me. When it comes to meat, I know meat. This is my family business. I was steeped in this stuff as a child.
All right. Well, speaking of stuff that's hard to chew, Charlie, did you see the last episode of Inhumans last night?
No, I fell asleep again. I was like, oh, I should really. So I have no idea. Is there a Inhuman? I saw at some point where like Black Bolt's saying we're all going to go to Earth now.
Because
do they all go to Earth? Is there an Inhuman embassy in the United Nations?
I don't know. I was kind of doing other stuff, but Maximus sabotaged the dome, but I think they fixed it, and I think Black Bolt and the others took power again. So
You don't have anything better to do on a Friday, really?
I told you I was doing other stuff. I was on the computer. I was looking at my.
Was Danielle at work? You guys couldn't have had a couple's night, or?
In my defense, I fell asleep, which is what I usually do during the Inhumans.
That's right.
And it wasn't even. And honestly, I'd had half a beer at that point. It was still the full can of beer left after I woke up, and I was like, oh yeah. So it's not even like I was drunk and fell asleep. It's just that bad of a show that it just does not engage you, and as soon as you sit down, it's like.
Well, last night was the season finale, which it's going to be the last one ever. So
series finale.
Goodbye, Inhumans.
Yeah, bye, Inhumans.
Yes, please, ABC and Marvel, let it go. Don't let it come back.
Yes. You know what? I will be happy to see. I'm happy to see Karnak again. I liked him. He was cool. He had his moments. So if Karnak shows up on Agents of Shields, I can deal with that. Karnak and Gorgon, I can deal with.
Oh yeah, because Gorgon.
I could probably even deal with Medusa if they give her hair back.
Gorgon was back, and
Yeah, Gorgon's back alive. He was back alive last
They're all
episode.
alive again. Yeah. Triton, they're all back.
Yeah.
I was disappointed.
Yeah.
You're disappointed in what?
The Flash.
Oh, The Flash?
Worst.
I don't watch that show. Is that still on? People like The Flash?
It's gonna be on for Smallville time. Like,
I have enjoyed that show, and yeah, this week was just.
Just learn to write a woman. This is not how we interact with one another. But I did like that they tried to correct the relationship between Iris and Caitlin.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that I can like, the saving grace of this episode.
And they dropped your favorite Felicity in here, so.
And she's usually good on The Flash. Like, honestly, I'm a huge Wes Allen fan, but Barry and Felicity or Barry and Ray make more sense than this particular Iris and Barry or this particular Felicity and Oliver. Like, I just...
Lilith, don't you get it? Hashtag feminism. How many times did they say that episode?
I swear it was like 10. That should have been the drinking game, and you would have been messed up. Yes, hashtag feminism.
Hashtag
I was like, what hipster intern wrote this episode? I want the names.
It was the Bachelor and Bachelorette parties for Barry and Iris, Charlie, and Barry didn't put the suit on once, didn't use super speed once. Cisco made up some concoction that actually got him drunk.
Well, that's not anything new, though. We've had that before.
Yeah, I know.
So.
But
not that drunk, though.
And he was crying about chicken wings and
Titanic.
Did we actually get Nazis at all yet? I know. I'm waiting for the Nazis.
That's the crossover. We'll call you when the crossover happens.
Yeah, tell me when I don't watch these shows. I have to catch up on my Legends of Tomorrow. But aside from that,
I think that crossover is what the Monday and Tuesday after Thanksgiving, I believe.
Okay.
I can't believe we're getting Arrow on a Thanksgiving. Who airs new episodes on Thanksgiving? I'm going to be in a turkey coma, or I'm going to be buying a 60-inch TV.
And that's super weird because, Arrow's going to be on Thanksgiving Day, and then they're moving it for the crossover to Monday after Supergirl, so it's going to be on, 4 days later?
Wait, no.
That's why they did I don't know. Like, the crossover was stupid. The
crossover should have been Thanksgiving week. That way everything's on Monday and Tuesday.
Yep. CW execs.
Yeah. I was gonna say that they're airing new episodes on Thanksgiving to take advantage of all of the protests, people who don't watch the NFL anymore.
Oh, I forgot about that. That might be
because they're like, I can't watch the Lions win their one game. Or lose one of many games. I'm going to watch.
Aren't they playing the Chicago Bears? Isn't that like every Thanksgiving they play Chicago Bears or something like that?
No, they play a different one, and they used to always win, and then they started losing because they're the Lions.
I know if I can control my aunt's TV, I'm putting Arrow on.
Yeah, well, there you go, man. Put on Arrow. Just say, I stand with my president. We will not allow protests, and I'm going to watch some guy in a red suit run around.
Oh God.
Yes.
There we go. In my family, that might work.
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, that's how you do it. You guys say, "Gee whiz!" I say, "Wow, I'm surprised. You guys are watching football, given all the protests. I thought you guys would want to stand against them and stand with me. And there's a new episode of The Flash, and we can watch that. And then
we are going to hell.
All right,
dude. No, my boyfriend called me out. He was just like, "There's all these legends on the DVR, and we need space. Are you gonna watch this or not?" I was like, delete it. I don't care. Just delete it then.
And you're just, and you were just like, it's a Tuesday. Who said you could talk?
Seriously, he's like, you're not going to watch this after. I was like,
how many seasons did you have on there?
Two
seasons.
Okay, so Lilith, here's the thing. On the DVR, you can have, there's a button you can push that says last 5 episodes.
I know, but then I need to have them all. One day I was going to have 36 hours to myself and binge it all.
I know, but Lilith, if that's what you want to do, then you get yourself a VHS.
Oh.
Or
gonna go back in.
Or you record to a flash drive.
I mean, I was trying to be supportive and not download it illegally. So
well, no, I mean you can actually run it through your computer.
I don't want to pay for it.
Yes,
or
but-
anything
I know
like
people
that.
used to actually before DVRs, people actually had their own DVRs because
Yeah,
I
I
know
know.
I spoke with people like just set it up. It's, yeah, you just run it through your computer and then you can record it. You
Yes,
know.
but can the human mind actually like take every episode of Legends of Tomorrow in one sitting?
We'll find out. I have to watch like half of season 2 and all of season 3 or whatever it is.
I
I'm
will
gonna
say
binge it
that-
one of these days.
I will say Kentucky coffee will get you through that because the coffee will keep you up, and the Kentucky will make it tolerable. So get yourself some Kentucky coffee.
Okay, I don't drink coffee, so it's just gonna be all Kentucky.
Okay, well then you're gonna fall asleep halfway.
Actually, it's gonna be Jameson and Kahlua with a little bit of hot chocolate.
You just want to go to bed. You just want to say it was on. I was asleep. I absorbed it through osmosis. And not for nothing, you don't have to have it on the DVR if you have last season because that's all on Netflix.
It is? Oh yeah, the CW shows
Yeah.
are on Netflix.
They're all
I'm
on
about
Netflix.
to boycott Netflix though. So
Why?
the price increase. I can't take it anymore.
That
The
hey,
day after my birthday, I'm like, the nerve.
hey, nice segue. That Disney app, because I mean that's mostly what I watch Netflix for is Marvel. So if
Yeah.
everything Marvel, and they're gonna have Star Wars, they're gonna have all the Disney content for my son.
Yeah.
So guess what? You know what? And it's gonna be cheaper than Netflix. They said so. Netflix, bye.
It's a very.
I'm
It's a
lying.
very
Ain't nobody
interesting.
leaving Netflix because not everybody is into the Netflix, defenders
The
and
Marvel,
stuff
yeah.
like
Well, that's
that.
what we were talking about last night, Lilith. We were saying, is Disney actually going to pull their stuff from Netflix, or are they going to just like buy out Netflix? Because
Well-
they're going to have to compete with that DC platform. So if they have
Well,
Netflix
that's
and all
gonna
their
flop,
content
and
too-
they're
Yeah.
gonna fall on their face. Like that
So-
Warner Brothers app is not gonna be any good.
Here's what it all comes down to because as I said last night, the reason Netflix didn't want to get in bed with Disney is because Netflix didn't want to be just Disney's distribution arm. They wanted to have that diverse content, so they could have Marvel shows and DVDs and Star Wars shows. One place that everyone can come. Netflix feels, and that's what Netflix feels is the selling point of the model. That it's not just one thing, that it's not just one place to go for one type of content, that it is all the content in one place. And in that case, it's much more like a traditional broadcast network just streaming, where they have original content, they have licensed content, they have the whole mix on Netflix. And that's what Hulu is trying to do, but I think Hulu's basic problem is they don't quite know what people want. I think like Hulu's problem is
Commercials, I'll tell you that much. How do you pay and still watch commercials? Hulu, come
Ask
on.
CBS.
because they're giving you the discount.
Ooh,
you know?
thanks.
Well, but you're the one complaining about Netflix raising their prices and they don't have commercials.
I used Hulu for the 2-week free trial that I had once, and I've never looked back. I was just like, Hulu ain't for me.
Yeah, well, I watched it for the Hulk and then they ran out of Hulks.
You know
And they
what?
could've
It was
kept-
for He-Man, matter of fact, is what I had
Yeah.
it for the 2 weeks for. I binged all of He-Man that 2 weeks.
And I think that's Hulu's problem is that they have all these
Grayskull.
classic shows that are going to get you in the door. But then once you're in the door, it's like, what do they have
Well, I
to
think-
really draw you? What
think-
really pulls you into that next level? And that's what I think Netflix has had. And I think Netflix has a big enough footprint that even if Marvel leaves, they still have a big enough footprint that they can still sell their original content to people. So I don't think I'm going to get rid of Netflix, even if Disney comes out. And I may even debate, do I really want to get the Disney Channel? Because as a podcaster, I kind of maybe have to just to see the next seasons. But, at the same time, I can only podcast so much. And I might just say, you know what, I'm just going to do what I can get for free or what's on Netflix.
Well-
Maybe that's going to drive me into the arms of DC. And now I got to start doing all these DC shows. Or I'm just going to do podcasts on Netflix shows,
Rick and Morty.
which is free on the Adult Swim app.
How is the Adult Swim app? Like, I know a
Oh,
lot
I
of these
love it.
TV apps are buggy and they don't upload on time and all these things.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. The Adult Swim app is fantastic, especially the marathon function,
Ooh.
where they have just a couple of shows. And right now, Rick and Morty is back on Marathon. But they had Venture Brothers on Marathon, and I just love that. Because you can just...
Hit play and go.
And it just runs the entire run of Venture Brothers, then comes right back. So you can just pick it up at any point. No real commercials on the marathon function. It just runs. And you can just sit there and watch. Like I said, one night I just watched the whole Blue Morpho arc, and it was amazing. Just to sit there and watch that whole season, and then it goes right back to that first episode, where they immediately start questioning Dr. Venture's actual doctorate, and it's great.
Do you know if they if it's able to stream through Chromecast or Apple TV?
I have no idea because I don't know what either of those things are. I know that on my phone, it's an app. I downloaded from Google Play, so I'm guessing you can get it on your Chromecast.
Okay. I can't watch on my laptop or my phone. Like I have to stream it to my TV. Like I can't.
No, I understand. Well, here's what I'll say. I'm sure if it's a Google app, I'm sure you can download it if nothing else through your gameplay device. Do you have a gameplay device like Xbox Net or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure you can go into their store, and I'm sure they have an Adult Swim app.
Okay.
So look for the Adult Swim app for the store. If not, then you can just run it on your TV or check it out through the Chromecast because, like I said, it is a Google app, and it is also available in iTunes. So it should be available on your Apple TV store too.
All right. Yeah.
Because I know that the Adult Swim app is both Google and iTunes. So
I'll have to look at that. I would love to marathon Venture Brothers.
Oh yeah, it's great. And like I said, I sit there and it's bad for if you have insomnia. It's not a good thing. It is not a good thing if you have insomnia. Because it's marathon, it's not like, well, I'll just watch one more episode. Because as soon as the episode's over, the next one starts.
And they don't kick you out like Netflix, like, hey, lazy, are you still there? You didn't get any fresh air?
No, they're fine. It's like it's a marathon. That's what we said. It's a marathon. And they assume you're getting up and you're going to the bathroom and then you're coming back because it's a marathon. It'll be back around. Just got to go around the horn, Go around the horn. It'll be right back.
Not really good stuff this weekend.
I cannot speak highly enough. I got really mad that they're charging for the Boomerang app, though.
Oh yeah, but
I
think it has to do with how old some of that stuff is, or they're just being one of the
possible. But it's like to me, it was like because I really wanted to get the Boomerang app because I wanted to show my son Grape Ape, but I don't know if Grape Ape is on there. I can't see where I can see what's actually on the Boomerang app. And here's the thing that bugs me. You usually have to put in your credit card first to get that free trial.
I don't like that. Yeah, I know. Because if you forget, it'll charge you. That's why they do it.
Exactly. I don't like that. But like, if I could see that Grape Ape was on there, I'd love to because Tristan loves Gaiju.
How much is it a month?
I don't know. It's not much, but honestly, I'm sitting here when my son's asking me, "Can I get this app thing for 99 cents?" I'm like, I'm not sure.
Let's see.
Like I said, Lilith, the problem is getting that extra money for extra stuff. It's like that extra money. That's the part that's really making us obsess about money, not everything else.
Oh, it's $40 a year.
You got to buy a whole year?
I just see that it's $40 a year, so I guess if you divide that by 12, that might be the.
Yeah, so it's like $3 something a month. Because 36
only 7 days too, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I'm interested, but and because they're not leading with Grape Ape, I don't know that it's on there.
Oh, if you do monthly, it's $4.99 a month.
Oh, okay. Or you pay up, so it's like.
But if you do the membership, it's $3.33 a month. Yeah.
Yeah, and and that's the thing. It's like I'd love to see all the old Hanna-Barbera, but I don't know if all the old Hanna-Barbera are on there.
And it's ad-free at least.
Yeah, well, even that's why it costs money, I mean, that's
back to Hulu. Sometimes you pay so.
Well,
that's So is the Runaways on? Is that Hulu?
No, that's isn't Runaways is Hulu. The other one is ABC Freeform.
I'm getting Hulu just for Runaways.
Yeah. Well, Cloak and Dagger is going to be free.
Yes.
Because that's on.
Was that Freeform?
Freeform. Okay, yeah, that's.
And then they're going to they're shopping. Although it's kind of spooky for I'm sure ABC right now because now Marvel said that New Warriors isn't going to be on Freeform, that they're going to shop it to a streaming service. Oh, by the way, we're just starting our own streaming service.
Mm-hmm. Disney's going to buy it.
But that's got to really freak out ABC, because I'm sure ABC is going, dude, we live off of our free content. We got to show these things. Don't be taking away all of our Marvel shows.
Yeah.
I know we're all part of one big happy mouse family here, buddy, but we're mouse family, which means you got to leave us something. Don't just leave us Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and don't you dare force another Inhumans on us.
I say it's time to bring back Peggy Carter. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
It's a perfect time to start a petition and get it rolling and just do it.
She's in Captain Marvel. They actually say that Phil Coulson may be in Captain Marvel too.
It'd be great to have,
Wouldn't that be great to have Peggy and Phil together?
It would.
Oh yeah, and I want to see young Nick Fury, with a big afro, because he had hair back then. Anytime you have a bald character and you go in the past, you always have to give them insane hair.
Oh no.
But that's the thing. Anytime you go back in the past, the character who is bald always has to have a huge amount of hair. It's just the rule.
And if he's black, it's going to be an afro with the big motorcycle bikers.
Yeah, well,
on the era, yeah.
Unfortunately, there's only so many things you can do with an African American man's hair. I mean, you could also give him it's the 90s. They could give him a big kid and play, give him a nice high top.
I would live for that.
Something shaved in the side.
Yeah, it is the 90s. So yeah, you might get that. You might get you may get a nice big S.H.I.E.L.D. logo shaved to the side of Nick Fury's head.
If this doesn't happen, I'm gonna be so upset.
Because it's all about branding, man. Now maybe just a tasteful afro, sort of like Israel Esquire.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember if Israel's his first name or his last name.
It's his last name.
It's his last name. Something Israel Esquire. Yeah, that is good. I'm so looking forward to that film. I so want to. And I love the fact that Denzel Washington is getting into his funny wig era as an actor.
Yes. Roman J. Israel Esquire. There we go.
There we go. Roman J. Israel Esquire. So looking forward to that film. That is going to be so awesome. We're gonna move from people punching, and this is a watershed, because we've got the aging actor not punching guys in a suit, but punching guys in a dashiki. We're moving from that Harrison Ford era of old men punching people in a suit, now to old men punching people wearing a dashiki. I'm looking forward to that. Sometimes I wonder if people in Africa actually ever wore dashikis, or if that was just a U.S. thing, and then maybe people in Africa started wearing dashikis because everyone in America's wearing these. I don't know.
Oh, to bring it back around to Australia, maybe they just embraced it.
Hello, they want us to wear dashikis, man. So put on a dashiki. It's a comfortable shirt. It's nice, big, billowy. It's good for hot weather. I get the feeling maybe one place in Africa wore dashikis. But then, but because someone could market it to all of the U.S. African American community, that is what they wear in Africa. It's no, actually, it's just those guys. Just those guys in Swaziland. Swaziland wears those. Nobody else wears those. They're kind of silly looking. It's a country in Africa. Look at
I know. It's very small, though.
Yes, I know. It was basically the inspiration for a lot of African kingdoms we see in fictional worlds, like Wakanda and the place that
hidden, surrounded by everything else. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly. Completely landlocked.
All right. Let's switch gears, Charlie. We talked a little about this last night. Lilith Hellfire, DC fan. How do you feel about capturing Brian Michael Bendis for the company?
Oh, let me tell you, Bendis. No, I mean, he's done some good stuff, but I swear, a lot of the stuff, it just makes me go, Bendis. It makes me angry. It makes me upset. But that's the mark of a good artist, is that they can make you feel something.
Exactly.
Whether it's anger or happiness, you feel something. So, do we know what titles he's going to get? Or
I don't think they've announced anything.
All of them?
As long as it's not any of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Arrow, have at it.
Then what's the point?
We'll start small, see how it does, and that's how they do it.
Here's my predictions. He's gonna do Speedy, the book.
Oh yeah, he was saying
he's gonna do Speedy.
Amico, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna take that character in and make her into the new Jessica Jones or something, or the new hot character, because they're bringing him in, because you got to get that white male guy to bring in your diversity to DC's cast. So you're gonna have they'll probably put him on Cyborg because he's an African American teen, although I don't know if Cyborg's still a teen anymore.
He's a young adult.
He's a young adult. So, or maybe they'll just create a new...
Right? Is anybody
I would wager. You know what? I would wager he's going to do a Damian... I'll bet you they're going to put him on a Damian Wayne book. And make people like Damian Wayne.
I don't know. Is he going to write Super Sons?
I would... Super Sons sounds like a natural fit for him to me. But they're going to have to introduce a girl character in it, because he does like to have female characters. And they actually already have a female character that shows up in there. I forget who. I don't know who she's.
As long as it's not Starfire.
Character. Yeah.
Damien's such a creep around her.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be like his big brother Dick,
Yes, well. Oh, they were saying that with Batman getting married now, that's cemented the relationship between Damian and
Dick Grayson, yeah.
And Dick Grayson, yeah.
What about that Harley Quinn retcon from White Knights? Did anybody read about that? They're thinking about making it canon.
What is the Harley Quinn retcon? Because I didn't read it, and I didn't read the article yet.
I didn't read the book, but I read the article. It didn't say that. It's out of continuity, but it might come in that there's two Harley Quinns, one in the classic version and the one Margot Robbie version that we get these days.
Well, they did when they introduced the Margot Robbie version character in it, they did have a whole arc where they said, "Did you really think you were the first Harley?" But I think it's weird that they both be named Harley Quinzel, both be psychiatrists at Arkham and all that kind of stuff.
Ooh, maybe it's another universe. Maybe they're pulling the Flash.
Yeah.
She's from Earth 91.
Yeah, I did not like the dyeing of Harley Quinn's skin.
Yeah.
Although, you know what? But for what it's worth, here's the thing: because they've had to sort of make the idea that the Joker is superhuman. He's not just a guy with a skin condition. Because, you have to remember that Killer Croc, the Joker, they were just guys with skin conditions originally. And now they've sort of made this idea that, no, they're actually metahuman in a subtle way, but they are metahuman. And that's why they're a real threat to Batman. And so they decided to make Harley Quinn a metahuman by having her be exposed to chemicals, which goodness knows what chemicals do to you. Uh-oh. Lilith doesn't want to hear it anymore.
No, you're good. I had to yell at the doggies.
Oh, okay. Yes, but so they've made her metahuman in that sense that she is, she got exposed to the chemicals, and chemicals make you super, and so she's now
instead of killing you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's like you know what it is 99% of the time radiation kills you. It's that 1%, one time out of 100, you become a Hulk. You would think that being at ground zero at a nuclear test would kill you. Nope, turns you into a Hulk. Well documented.
Gamma rays, man. Gamma rays.
Gamma rays. Dr. Banner, hosted by Gamma rays, turns into the Hulk. Gamma and Banner do not actually rhyme.
Did he say Gamma rays?
Well, that's
in Boston.
The theme song for the Hulk was,
I was gonna say, if you're a rapper, you can make anything rhyme. I once heard T-Pain rhyme Wisconsin and Mansion and make it rhyme, and it still haunts me.
And that's coming from Little Hellfire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just remember, orange rhymes with everything if you pronounce it the right way. If you say orange, it rhymes with morange. You call it orange, it rhymes with door hinge. There's lots of ways to rhyme orange. You just have to have the right accent. But yeah.
Well,
and so I'm sure that Jack Kirby with his Brooklyn accent probably called them gamma rays, Dr. Banner, because he was pelted by gamma rays. Wait, what kind of rays? Yeah, gamma rays. Those rays. After the Greek letter gamma. That's how you say it in Brooklyn, man.
Oh. Just pure mess. I love it.
We didn't talk about
What's
Mhm.
that?
Well, Charlie and I talked a little last night. What books did anybody read this week? And Lilith's going to say none.
Actually, I did. I read Action Comics 991.
Almost there.
I'm so close. I can taste it.
Oh, did you hear? I was what was I listening to? Some podcast. Didn't they say action? Like there's going to be two different versions of Action Comics 1000, like a regular version that's going to be like $5.99, and then like some hardcover crap.
I told you.
all kinds of
$50.
stuff. What was it
$50.
30 or 40? Yeah, something.
See, I was close. I told you.
Where it has like all this extra stuff, and it's gonna. I don't know if it's gonna have pictures of like every cover, all 1,000 covers and stuff. And
So it's 1,000 picture books. So it's or 500
Well,
pages of just pictures.
there's a regular version that's gonna be $5.99, and then I guess you could get like a hardback edition that has all
is that
of
gonna
the
come out at the same
$5.99
time,
plus
though?
all the
It's gonna come out at the same time,
I
or
don't
they're
know.
gonna hold it back for Christmas.
I don't know. They didn't say.
Well, no, it's gonna be after Christmas. So
Hey, here's a question. Here's a weird question. Was Superman in Action Comics 2?
Number 2.
Everyone always talks about Action Comics number 1, but was he in Action Comics after issue 1? Or was that just where he started and then they brought him back? Because I know that DC like bought like their comic, because they were originally going to sell it as a newspaper strip, because that's where the money was back in the day. And then they
newspapers.
And then they just piled them all so that all the strips were on one page, and that's how you created comic books. And I wonder, did they run through the entire Superman arc in that first issue, and then did they have him in the second issue? And when did Superman, if he wasn't in the second issue, when did he come back to Action Comics?
Wait, I'm looking it up.
So like, is it going to?
He was in Superman Action number 2. Superman Revolution in San Monte.
Okay.
Ugh.
Oh yeah, that was the one that Hitler didn't like.
Superman wasn't on the cover, but he was in it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So
the Dark Ages, even though they call it the Golden Ages. Yeah.
Wait,
Well,
you mean when
tough to get through.
Batman was like gunning people down?
I liked it.
yeah, well,
I liked when he was tricked criminals into getting crushed by the recycling machine too, and hanging people from the Batmobile, the Bat plane. Oh, he was Popey and an actual detective and fighting mobsters. That's my favorite kind of.
He was who Wortham warned us about, and yet he survives to this day.
Well, you gotta
Just
evolve.
as sociopathic as ever.
Even more so, yeah. Like when Christian Bale, they made him. I was like, dude, I can never not see American Psycho. They have so many similarities. Seriously, especially in that Nolan-esque vibe.
Well,
so
that was when they cast Beetlejuice as Batman.
Michael Keaton. Yeah.
Michael Keaton. Yeah, I forget everyone's name. Not enough coffee. Or a little too much Kentucky. One or the other, just not the right balance. But Michael Keaton, when what Tim Burton said was, when they were debating who to put in that, and said, you know what, Michael Keaton does really good crazy eyes. And they said, you know what, behind the mask, you need a guy that can really have that look in his eye. Then we go, oh, yeah. And after Beetlejuice, what?
Have you ever seen Birdman with Michael Keaton?
I haven't seen Birdman yet. No.
You have to see that. When you talk about the crazy eyes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, I know. Batman versus the Hulk. I'm looking forward to it. And that's why he was so great as the Vulture. He really sold the Vulture, and it was this idea of it. And of course, and what I'll tell you is what's great about it is you look back to something like Mr. Mom, and you see that in Mr. Mom when he goes really off the deep end, when he loses his job, and he's like sitting there in his kitchen with a power tool, and he asks his wife's boss, you want a beer? He says it's 9:00 in the morning. He says, bourbon. Great scene. Mr. Mom, really one of the great underrated works of Michael Keaton. Really one that everyone should see it. Michael Keaton's a great actor, and he brings such and what I'll tell you is that is where that Marvel formula comes from. Was that Tim Burton Batman, where they said, let's deal with dark and hard issues. Let's not forget this is still a comic book, and we need someone that can do comedy. We need someone that can actually bring some humor to this, because superheroes are a dark and scary idea. And if you just had dark and scary things, it would be really hard to watch for a prolonged period of time. So let's have something that can be fun as well as being dark and scary. And that's what comic books are supposed to be. They take dark and scary ideas, like all myths, legends, and fairy tales of the past do. They take a dark and scary idea, make it fun in a way that young people and adults with young minds can digest and enjoy, while still taking away that, the lesson that the world is a dark and scary place. So Batman is a dark and scary book about your parents are going to get murdered, and what are you going to do about it, you little punk? And she said, I'm going to become a Batman. That's what I'm going to do about it. Pa! And then it's about being a Batman when everything you know and love has been taken away from you. Because eventually the world does take everything you know and love away from you. And all you can do is be a Batman. Just like Kraven the Hunter in this week's Squirrel Girl charity comic.
Oh, no!
Where it turns out that Kraven the Hunter only faked his death just so he could hunt death himself. And he leaps out of his cover at the end and chases death. And it's because Kraven is greatest hunter.
I love him, actually. It's one of my favorite rando villains.
Kraven faked his death. Yeah, he faked that hole in his head.
Yeah. Well, these are all so basically the concept behind the charity book. It's a fun book. Pick it up. Squirrel Girls. This week's Squirrel Girl. It's the zine version, and it's like all these little short comics written by different creators, and it's all but it's all based on the idea that all of Squirrel Girl's friends wrote these episodes. So it's like the Howard the Duck episode is just this girl coming into Howard's office as a detective and just making out with him. That's what Chip Zdarsky wrote for Howard the Duck, and Kraven's is all about how Spider-Man is Spider-Man sucks. And they make the point that Spider-Man stinks. Second time I've seen someone make a point that Spider-Man's mask stinks really bad, because Iron Man made the same statement in a recent book when they were looking for his mom.
Is it not machine washable? Is that not a poly cotton blend?
Well, you know what? If you're hiding it from your Aunt May, yeah, it's hard to get it washed.
Well, hand wash that sucker and then get the blow dryer.
That doesn't work. You got to remember, he came about before Febreze, so although someone once told me
Febreze everything. Febreze.
Someone once told me you can take vodka and water, do a half and half solution, and that actually has the same effect as Febreze. It basically all Febreze is
my vodka. Sorry.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, wouldn't the Febreze be cheaper?
Well, if you get cheap vodka, you can get a bottle about that big for $5 and use it for paint thinner.
It's just but basically the idea behind Febreze is that it basically just kills the bacteria that makes things stink. That's basically all Febreze does. Is it kills the bacteria that makes things stink.
It does.
So
for teenage boys.
Yes, well. No, they have Axe body spray. All you can do is mask the smell. You can't get rid of it. You just have to mask it.
Axe body spray for when you want to bottle the smell of douche.
Yeah.
That a Family Guy joke?
I am a very sensitive person, and so the fact that the world now feels that they must smell like the chemical syndicate really is hard for me. And it was bad enough when it was just women, and now it's women and men. So no matter where you sit on the subway, you're in someone's odor cloud. I prefer BO to that, because BO actually always had a range, generally speaking, unless it's a homeless person. But for a normal person, BO has a range, and you can move one, and usually it was about one seat back. If you were one seat back, you weren't in the BO cloud anymore. But now, modern day chemicals extend like a many-armed hydra throughout the entire place you are, and you can't escape it. And weirdest thing, man, is sometimes when you have someone with enough scent, that scent actually transfers to you.
That is the worst.
Oh yeah, and it's why am I still smelling it? They left an hour ago.
Yeah, I hugged somebody once and that happened to me, and that's why I don't give hugs anymore.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Oh, anyway. But
Philip,
yes.
come on,
What are we
moderate.
talking? Philip. All Philip's here to do is just push record. He says, I don't want to actually talk anymore. I just want these two to yammer on for an hour.
I brought the gasoline in the match now.
How do you stop the tornadoes? I don't know. Lilith, did you read Detective Comics?
I did.
And?
Did they detect anything?
Never.
Well, no, they were fighting the evil future version of Tim Drake.
Oh.
Yeah, I just give me my regular Tim.
And of course, they had to parody the classic "Lonely Place of Dying" storyline with the "Lonely Place of Living."
Yeah, it's like you're not being clever anymore. Just knock it off. Just saying.
Because they changed one word in the title.
Yeah. You ever feel like all the middle Robins feel like left out of the Tim Drake, or not Tim Drake, the Damian Burt Ward dynamic? I'm sorry, Dick Grayson dynamic. You like because now there's like all these extra Robins laying around, and they're like, oh, okay, the first and the current are like all best friends, but I guess we're just chopped liver.
No, they did some great issues. The Robin War and all that stuff where we saw some of those really cool dynamics between the different kids in the Bat family.
Well, that Tim Drake read Robin book right before Flashpoint, didn't they always say like, yeah, like the Robins even compared themselves. They're like, Dick Grayson is Marsha, Tim Drake was Jan, and then they called
Marsha.
And they called Damian Cindy, and then we're like, well, who's Jason Todd? They're like, he's cousin Oliver.
Yeah, cousin Oliver, exactly, because he's a redhead, really.
And every other Robin is a Jan, so they're all just the forgotten middle Robins. Is basically what they said. We're the forgotten middle Robins.
That is just funny. Like, yeah, Damian Cindy.
Oh, Tattletale, Big Mouth Tattletale. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Oh goodness, poor old Cindy.
Oh, but Charlie, I didn't tell you this last night. Despicable Deadpool 289.
Mm-hmm.
I think they stole a joke from you.
Oh yeah.
We all listen to our podcast.
I'm
telling you, man.
Well, no, Cable.
That's why they're coming on, because they're like, oh man, we're getting on with those guys. We're still some more great ideas.
Cable and Deadpool go to fight Strife, but like he ends up like killing them. But Cable at the last minute calls back like an hour to his past self and like, don't attack Strife, it's a trap. And so they actually end up seeing their like dead, burned bodies. And Deadpool sees Cable's skull and he's like, boy, you do have good bone structure. I never noticed that before.
They couldn't be too on the nose about it, but I see it.
Well, does Deadpool say that to Cable, or does Cable say that to Deadpool?
Deadpool says it to Cable. No, it wasn't Deadpool, but I mean, still, they said bone structure. I was like, oh, Charlie's joke.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, man, that's why the whole Deadpool, I'm an ugly monster in the movies falls down, because, Ryan Reynolds is an objectively handsome man. And it's like, you can put a bunch of goop on his face, he's still an objectively handsome man. It's not like he got a big nose out of it. It's not like any of his features are now out of proportion. It's just like, oh, you're a little model, I mean, they didn't even like give him zombie face, which they sometimes do with Deadpool, where they like have like there's like a big hole here in his side of his face,
They're
Because
saving
you
that
can
for
do that, and that will ugly him up and make it asymmetrical. But they didn't do that. They just, they painted him like splotchy pink. Like, oh, I'm splotchy pink.
Splotchy pink, you said. You should listen to that. We just actually got done talking about Splashy Pink Deadpool.
Yeah. Okay. Do I want to know what you're referencing, or is it actually just what I'm talking about?
You can just go ahead and go back a couple of episodes on Capes and.
It's what? It's
Wade's World for
part of the Wade's World. Yeah.
Cable Deadpool number. Was it 5? It's 5.
What?
Yeah, the pink where it's pink.
Yeah. Was it a issue? Cable and Deadpool issue. Yeah, was it 5?
It was 5. Yeah.
Charlie, quit whistling at women walking by.
No, it's my damn.
He would never. Charlie's not that kind of guy, unless it's his wife and that's what she's into.
Yeah.
Well, we're sitting in home, so.
I'm not a cat caller. Because what do you do when you cat call a woman and she turns around and like, okay, now I have to do something else?
Did you?
I do compliment people on their outfits on the subway though. When I really like an outfit, I will say, I love your boots. Or I love that shirt. Or I'm very big, I love your tattoo. I do that. And maybe that's creepy, I don't know, but I do love people's boots and tops and tattoos. Especially when I see a woman in Cavalier boots. I always want to say, I love your boots. Those are really great boots. I'll do it to men too, but men don't usually have as much fashion sense.
Because we only have 2 shirts, right, Charlie?
I have 2 shirts.
I forgot to talk about Archie number 25 last week. I actually
what
just got
happens
around
in
to
Archie?
reading it.
Okay.
Reggie. It's about Reggie and
Hey, Reggie.
how they hold him responsible for what happened to Betty, and it's finally like just coming out, and like it's just a great story about Betty underneath it all. I just really enjoyed it.
But
And
has
Mark
anything
Waid
actually
was-
happened to Betty aside from getting into a car accident? Does she have like long? I mean, are we? Does she
It's not
have
gonna be
like
long term.
post-head
It's not-
trauma?
It's not gonna be that long term. What happens to her? I'll just put it to you that way. But we're only part 3 and probably a 9-part arc, so anything can happen. But I like that everybody's kind of turning on Reggie because everybody hates Reggie. It's okay to hate Reggie.
But everyone's always hated Reggie. But Reggie is a very hateable guy.
Not always. He is. He's got a what you call a punchable face.
Well, not for nothing, Reggie is kind of the guy. Much like all dark-haired rivals in comics, whether it's Reggie or that Richie Rich character who was Richie's cousin, and I forget his name. But he's like from the poor side of the
I was gonna say
family.
Peter Pori.
No. I actually think his name was Reggie too, because comic books, they're not original. I mean, even Jughead's actually literally a stolen character from another teen series at the time. I forget which season it was, but that's why his hat has a letter on it that has no relation to his name. Yeah, because they just literally just drew a different character in it and called him Jughead. And
not the people who they stole it from, they won't.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't even think that comic book company exists anymore. So
Of course it doesn't.
Yeah. This was when they were printing comic books with cereal box machines. So, but that's how you get hit comic books, is you just produce enough comic books, then one becomes a hit. And then Marvel or DC buys that character and puts them into their universe. And that's how that works.
Looking at you, Charleston Comics.
Yeah, well, Yeah.
Ooh, shots fired at Charleston Comic Books, Phil.
Yeah, no one's. Trust me. Fawcett Comics is
Milestone. Yeah, so many.
That's the real dark one, because that was like DC basically sued them out of existence because they were completely in their rights. They said no, Captain Marvel is not Superman. Yes, they both fly, but their hair is completely different. Their costume's completely different. Their power set's completely different. Their origins are completely different. There's nothing about this character, but DC said he's got dark hair, a cape, and flies. You're just ripping off Superman. And they eventually won the case, but they had been so exhausted by DC that they had to close because they ran out of money. It was the first Gawker incident where a company just sued someone they didn't like out of existence. And then, to make it all the more evil, they then bought Fawcett. So now Captain Marvel's part of DC Universe, except they don't call him Captain.
Which is a shame.
Actually, do they call him
Cheese is
Captain
great
Marvel?
though. They don't
They
not
do call him
anymore.
Captain-
They's officially Shazam now. Has been for a while.
They don't call him Captain Marvel in the comic? In the comic, they called him Captain Marvel, but the book was called Shazam.
They used to. I don't think
They used to. Now it's all Shazam references. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, he took the wizard's name.
Which I hate. But anyway, Big Red Cheese is better. They should rename the book Big Red Cheese.
Yeah. Of course, the problem with calling him Shazam is that like every time he says his name, he will turn back into something else. He'll turn back into Billy Bonson.
They don't have any checks and balances over at DC. So, Phil and Charlie, come on. DC.
Although I do love the and it was in, I don't know if they ever did that in the book, but when like Superman and Shazam fight in the cartoon, because Shazam's like a big fan of Lex Luthor because he's an American industrialist and he's making this great community for people to live in, and then they're fighting, and then
unlike Batman.
Man, one bat plane could put a dozen kids from the suicide slums suicide slums through college without having to go into the GI Robin bill. That's what's most cruel about it, is he'll pay for your college if you agree to give, 10 years of your life to robbing. if you're willing to be his child warrior, if you are selected by the Wayne Foundation to be the orphan of the month to go fight this fight, and you survive it, he'll pay for your college. But you're going to public school before that, kid. Don't forget that.
I pushed the button. I'm sorry. No, I pushed it.
This Bruce Wayne is a menace. Oh, speaking of menaces, did you hear? And it's kind of funny to me because it's like, oh, what's his name now? Man. The yellow M&M, who's currently playing Commissioner Gordon, said he would be more than happy to play J. Jonah Jameson again if someone would ask him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And what I find funny about this is everyone's like, oh, he said he'd do it. And it's like, he's an actor. And you asked him, would you like to have a job?
Would you like to make some moolah?
He's like, yes, I would very much like to have a job. I like jobs. That's sort of what I do. So, yes, if someone would pay me to be J. Jonah Jameson, I'll be there tomorrow, you know? But it's funny to me that when an actor says, oh, I'd like to play that character, we're like, he's going to play it. It's like, no, the actor just said he would like to work, and this sounds like a good job. There's a whole thing that happens between an actor saying, I want to play Captain America. They're not going to cast me. Actually, I think I could do a good Doctor Doom. I think I could really bring some nuance to the role.
Hey, did you hear what happened to that kid that's playing Dick Grayson in the Titan show? Did he get hurt or something? I saw that on the news.
Did he? No?
Yeah, it was something in the newsfeed about something about that kid.
Hurt or dead?
Not dead, hurt. Probably.
Okay, people get hurt on it's an action adventure. People get hurt all the time.
Isn't that what stunt doubles are for?
Well, they're supposed to. No, you have to do your own stunts now.
Only if you're Tom Cruise, he insists on it actually, which I find insane. The stuff
Tom Cruise insists on doing his own stunts.
Well, he owns the studio that puts out Mission Impossible, so I mean.
Okay, well, good for him. Well, no, I mean, a lot of actors do a lot of their own stunts. I remember watching. It was a behind-the-scenes movie show on Nickelodeon back when I was a kid. It was hosted by Leonard Nimoy, actually, as I recall. And they were doing they were just like some extended trailers for coming attractions. They were doing one of the James Bond series, and they were doing about Roger Moore doing his own stunts. And he said he even does the start of this swing, and then they show him like start to swing 2 feet, and then he stops, and then the stunt double comes in to do it, because Roger Moore was an old man when he was doing Octopussy and all those other films. His later canon, For Your Eyes Only, that is an old man by that point. That is old James Bond. Although for what it's worth, I would love to see more of old James Bond. I would love to see more of James Bond's as the old warrior.
Old man Bond.
Yeah, old man Bonds. I'd love to see that, man. Oh, speaking of which, did you hear what's coming out soon? Old Man Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm so looking forward to Old Man Hawkeye. Because Old Man Hawkeye did make Old Man Logan. I do think that is very much the story you can walk away from. I love the fact that Old Man Hawkeye has kids all around the world. Because he basically just goes, because I get the feeling Hawkeye is the kind of guy who is a serial monogamist. Get married and be with you and have a kid with you, and then
he sets up a franchise.
Adventure calls. Yeah, because the Spider Girl of that universe is his daughter, because it's his daughter with Spider-Man's other daughter, and apparently Spider-Man, because somewhere along the line Spider-Man had a kid who was with someone who was African American, so. That gets weird. So, I don't know who he was dating, but obviously that's post Mary Jane, post Gwen Stacy. Maybe it's Misty Knight. I don't know. It's cool. But yeah. But that Spider Girl was actually African American. Hawkeye's daughter. So, because she was the one that was trying to take over. Looking at that. But it was a different Kingpin, because it was.
Well, I think I made the comment, Lilith, that Old Man Hawkeye. Frank Miller did it first with Green Arrow and Dark Knight Returns.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Oh, did they have Blind Hawkeye?
No, they had one-armed Green Arrow.
Oh.
Still one of my favorite stories.
Had to draw the bowstring with his teeth.
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
Really? He couldn't just
too nice of teeth for all that.
Well,
he couldn't just get a robot arm?
He does eventually.
Because, I mean, like, this is the comic book universe and the future comic book universe. And it's not like we don't have
Bruce didn't want to
arms
pony
already.
up. Bruce didn't want to pony up at the time, so.
Isn't Oliver Queen supposed to be rich too, though?
Well, he loses his. Wasn't that the time he didn't have money?
That was in the 80s, so yeah, he might have been.
He might have been broke again.
Yeah.
That's one good thing I like about the Marvel Universe billionaires. All supposed to be super tech geniuses. It makes sense that they can lose money and then they just get their money back because they just invent something else the next week. And because that's basically with like Reed, where he says, "Oh yeah, you know, he like had them lose all their money because he wanted to have his family have a regular life."
That bomb happy.
And then they were like, "No, but we kind of like being rich." He says, "Okay, I invented the cure for acne, so I'm going to sell that to Claricel next week. We'll be billionaires again." And he can do that, and it makes sense for Tony Stark in the same way. It's like, I'm going to stop making weapons. So what are you going to do? Well, we're going to make Stark phones instead. And now everybody's got a Stark phone in the Marvel Universe.
So he's the Apple phone of the Marvel Universe.
Really? Yeah. No, you see Stark Tech phones all over the place in the Marvel Universe, and they're like Apple phones, except they're actually compatible with other things. They're basically like Samsung phones.
Oh, okay.
So they're like better and fancier, but they also have the cachet of being a fancy phone because it's. So you got that. So you have, because really, only reason why people like Apple products is because they say Apple.
I
heard anyone say that the products were better than the alternatives. I just heard, but they're Apple.
It's a cult. Sorry, Phil.
One of us.
I can't see you right now, Lilith.
I can't see you, Charlie.
Can you see her, Phil?
Yeah, I see her. Down
I don't know if it's on my end or your end. Okay. Anyway, Lilith couldn't take my tearing down of Apple.
No, I could care less about Apple.
You're back, or at least you're back on my end. I don't know. I don't even know if Phil's really even paying attention anymore.
He's not. He's fiddling on his phone.
The
He's texting me, you know, these two schmucks.
The internet's so bad. I left 10 minutes ago.
What are you going, Internet Explorer?
No, mine. No, please.
NetSuite Navigator.
Now.
Oh, wow.
Who remembers Navigator, the original search engine, or the original browser?
Beep, boop, beep.
Ugh.
I miss NetSuite Navigator.
Was it Charlie Esser at CompuServe.net?
No, it was then, as now, as always,
Professor Esser?
Jazz Esser at AOL.com. AOL, man. I got a whole host of AOL accounts, man.
Here, let me dial in.
You watch, man. AOL is going to make a comeback.
Right there with Atari. Atari's going to buy them out and make a comeback.
Well, actually, they're already owned by... Well, actually, they own Warner Brothers, technically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
AOL Time Warner, and then all of a sudden, when they actually bought them, someone realized that Warner's like, wait a minute, we're worth like 10 times what you're worth. You just had all fake. But Warner's owns AOL.
That explains why it's the way it is.
And I'm surprised that Warner's hasn't tried to leverage that more. To expand
Give me flashbacks, Phil. Stop it.
To try and expand its especially as they're trying to get into the
Streaming and stuff.
streaming market. That, you know, here's this content that there's still a lot of AOL users out there.
Oh yeah.
You know, because I get resumes and I say, oh, AOL, and I still see folks with those old AOL accounts.
Now let me ask you: are they over the age of 30? Because I see AOL as like grandparents. No offense,
Yeah.
Charlie. Like no, seriously,
okay.
like the older people I notice have AOL as a person who works in HR as well.
I will say I'm the only of my brothers and sisters who does not have well, actually, no, that's not true. My brother who's passed away does not have any grandkids either. Just funny because he's actually, well, he's the second oldest of all of us, but his kids, at least as far as I know, actually he might have grandkids. Yeah, there's some lost relatives in there, so yeah. But all my other brothers and sisters all have grandkids at this point, so I could technically have grandkids if I had
started a little bit earlier. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they sort of, yeah. Basically, Had I been like my brothers and sisters and started right away, I would have had grandkids by now. But I actually got married.
I see a Hotmail address on a resume. I'm totally silently judging that person. Like, I'm just saying, as a person in human resources, I'm just like, nope.
You know, for me, my problem with Hotmail is I always associated Hotmail with like sex accounts.
Of course you did.
Because early sex accounts did have Hotmails. Hotmail was very popular among the sexing community, as it were. So,
like, if I see an MSN.com live, no, I'm judging you.
Oh.
Outlook, even, I'm kind of judging you.
I think it's safe
see,
to
sometimes
say.
I get a little judgy on Gmail because I think you just created that account yesterday.
Yeah, because you don't want to see it. Sexy Mama 91. No.
Well, exactly.
Your name.
Although every so often you will get people that are sending their resumes from, you know, just smokeweedeveryday at gmail.com, you know?
Like, well, no, you have to hire that person because now you have a buddy on the. No, I'm kidding.
But Lilith, isn't it safe to say with 95% of the population you're judging them?
No, that's not at all.
No?
Just like as human resource, I'm just like, I don't know. If somebody with a Gmail, somebody with a sexy Mama 91 at Hotmail, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
See, I actually read their resumes, Lilith, and see if they have qualifications for the position.
Well, no, it tells you a lot, actually. As a person who's scanned just in the past 2 months about 600 resumes.
See, I mean, Lilith has
I'm
a point.
Yeah, well, you know, and I will get. Here's what I'll say, because I was actually going through resumes yesterday, and I know that one of the qualifications for the position was how you have to be familiar with the Office suite. And I'm getting these guys whose resumes are coming in, they're just poorly formatted. They're not in Word form, not even in PDF form, and I'm like,
yep.
I can see you probably have more skills than you're using here, but you're not using them in your resume. And that's a big problem. You got to show that you know how to change your fonts, Can you have different fonts in your resume? You have no idea how. Of course, the thing I hate is when they have, like, the blocked resumes where it's like, where you clearly downloaded a template and you're putting stuff into that template, and it's like, I know you didn't create that, because no one who's actually trying to get a job actually would create that. No one would create that artisanal resume if they weren't.
Unless you're in one of those more creative or tech. Like, I know what you're talking about. It's more tech people do it that way. Not what we're looking for.
Yeah, well, honestly, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I think there are people that are trying to say, I'm basically what you should say is, I'm a recent grad, but I know my stuff. And that's what you put on your resume. Recent grad, know my stuff. If you're going for that tech job, and you can do that in a tech job, you can't always do that in other jobs. And, the problem is that people, people always try to overdo their resumes. And the reason why is because there are people that go to, like, courses, whether it's a paid course by the state or something, but it's all people trying to tell you how to get a job. But the only way to get a job is to actually have qualifications and apply for the job and have your resume seen. And none of the other tricks of the trade are going to get you there.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody like recently, I just so they hired somebody, and I was just like, I knew their resume was total BS. Told my boss that, and they're not working out. So
yeah,
because ours is very specific, and I'm just like, I go to start training, and I'm just like, oh, what's this? I was like, I know specifically this qualification said you had to be familiar with these 3 things, and you don't look familiar with these 3 things.
Yeah, you got to be honest with what your resume is, man. But But that's the thing. But that's also why you do background checks. I was applying for this company. Oh, and this is because it's a medical company. I was really kind of and I know what the problem is because I told them what my price was, because they were listing it as HR coordinator, and they wanted an HR manager for their expanding practice. And I asked her, so what background check company are you using? She says, yeah, that's the kind of thing we need. It's like, you're a medical facility, and you're not running background checks. You're not verifying the credentials of your chiropractors and physical therapists and acupuncturists. I don't know how you verify that.
Don't get me started on medical facilities.
No, but it's like, this is a liability-rich field. What do you mean you're not already doing that? That's like the first thing you do before you open your medical practices, how are we going to confirm that everyone has the criteria that we're hiring them for? You know, and it's great when you're just hiring friends and maybe you all went to medical school together, so you all know your qualifications. But the second you hire that first person who didn't go to medical school with you, you got to make sure they actually went to medical school. You got to make sure they actually know what the heck they're talking about. So I'm hoping they're still going to call me back, because I'm hoping they're going to realize, you know what, the money that guy asked for, it really wasn't that extreme for what we're asking for. Because they basically said, yeah, we're opening 7, we have 7 locations, and we just need someone to handle all of our HR for the 7 locations for our company. And it's like, yeah, you're not going to get that for under 50, you know? You're not going to get someone to do that. And for what it's worth, there was another company that I applied for recently that I'm hoping calls me back. And they're the same. They're a tech company, though. But they're looking for that person who is that HR central hub. They're calling it an HR assistant, you know, which is fine. I'll take whatever title you want if you pay me. But they had their rate starting at 65. And so you start at 65. You can call me. You can call me the roustabout. I don't care. In fact, I used to always say that when people said, "What's your title?" I said, "Yeah, call me the roustabout," because that's what I did. I did whatever you needed to be done. I was the roustabout at the company. I like that. I don't mind being a roustabout so long as you're paying me for my rousting about.
Okay, but everybody fibs on their resume. I've only ever fibbed once, and it was when I was in high school, and it was for some assistant job, and they were like, "You have to know QuickBooks." So what did I do? I downloaded QuickBooks 2 days before the interview, knew the basics, but
so you knew QuickBooks. Honestly,
not like the way that they needed it.
No, but that's fine. But you know what? It's an accounting software. I had to leave
that job 2 weeks later, so I was just like, I can't.
Okay. See, so like I have limited experience with QuickBooks, but I do list QuickBooks because I've worked with QuickBooks. I've worked with Peachtree. I've worked with a lot of different programs. I may not be an expert the way I'm with Microsoft Office, but the fact of the matter is that all of these programs, they're designed to be user-friendly.
Not QuickBooks. Not once you get past the consumer grade of QuickBooks.
Let me put it this way. If you took a basic accounting course at community college, it's actually pretty straightforward. So because I actually have taken accounting, because I actually do know my stuff, I can actually walk into QuickBooks and say, oh yeah, I can see credits, debits, you know. And at that point, it's easy. What your problem maybe is that you didn't have an accounting background.
No, accounting is easy, but QuickBooks is when you get into anything past the consumer grade, like when you have like specialized stuff, it gets.
But then it's specialized, and they say, oh, well, yeah, I haven't worked with this version of QuickBooks yet.
Exactly.
I'm familiar, but that's not lying. That's just stating the truth. So, for example, I list my colleges on my resume. I don't have a degree, but I don't say I have a degree. I'm sorry. You know, I don't have a degree, but I do list that I did go to college, and everything is honest on my resume. But I don't make it clear of what my faults are on my resume. I wait for you to interview with me, and then we'll talk about that.
What about you, Phil? Have you ever lied on your resume about anything? Maybe not this current job. Let's talk about like any other job.
Just that I care.
Well, everybody tells that lie.
I know. I don't think I've ever told any really big lies, but that has been your adventures in HR for the week.
Adventures in HR. So, I'll be glad to be done with this job, to be honest. I'm trying to hire my replacement, actually.
Oh. No one can replace you, Lilith.
Apparently not.
Will they pay for moving expenses down to Florida?
No.
Okay.
This is very it's not a small company, but I will say it's a boutique niche kind of thing.
So all you big businesses, Charlie Esser has a price.
I do. Well, you know what? I don't mind going below my price if you're not asking me to run your entire HR department. You say, hey, we need someone to run the entire HR department, and we're going to pay you like less than 50. I'm going to say, no, I will go less than 50. And in fact, I have an interview on Monday for a job that's paying $24 an hour, and it's in New York. And I always said my price in New York was going to be 50. I mean, just to show up in New York is 50. But it's an HRIS field, and that is a growing market. And I'm thinking, you know what? And it's a temp to perm, and I know that there is an increase once you go perm. I know this from when I did temp to perm at Genentech. That they start you at a high price, and then they go higher. So I'm sure I'll get to 50, 52 in 3 months, in 3 to 6 months there, and then that's fine. You know, I can work with that. But, you know, if I'm starting out, you know, but, and the guy actually upped me because he originally said that they were going to submit at 23, and he said, "Tell you what, we're going to submit you at 24 because I know that that's going to be important." I said, "Good," you know. And I figured, you know what, going into the city, it's like 2 more stops on the subway, so it's not that, or on the path, so it's not going to increase my commute costs. It's just going to increase my commute time, which makes my kids sad. But, you know, what in my life doesn't make my kids sad? You know. So, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm looking for an
Adulting
HR
sucks.
job. It does, man. You know what's hardest about it? You know, here's what I'll say. Adulting when you have kids is the hardest because suddenly there's someone that doesn't understand being an adult in your life that you now have to explain adulting to. See, Lilith has it right. She has another adult who understands adulting, and then she has dogs who don't understand adulting, but don't understand much. So it's fine.
Just feed me, walk me, rub my belly. That is
exactly.
We're talking about the dogs, Lilith, not your boyfriend.
Have you seen this new squeaky toy, Mommy Lilith? Have you seen what the squeaky toys that the other neighbor dogs have? I want that squeaky toy. Why does my squeaky toy not have Wi-Fi? Oh, I'm sure they are.
They are. Like I have to like spy on them. So now we have like the little camera with the bone. Like yeah.
Yeah, but my point is that your dogs aren't asking for any of that. Your dogs aren't coming to you with their big brown puppy dog eyes saying,
well, when we're at PetSmart, let me tell you, they will grab a bone out of the bag.
Well, okay, you don't take your kids to the toy store. You don't take your kids to you don't take your dogs to PetSmart. That's just parenting 101, Lilith. Come on.
I failed.
You gotta have that. You take them when you have that reserve cash. You say, okay, this is what we have to spend.
You got some birthday money to go wow.
Yeah, now we can go to Toys R Us.
Good. Writing this down.
Yeah. Actually, I just told Tristan because there is a 365 Halloween store in New Jersey called Fun Ghoul. I just told Tristan about it because I took him to State Fair, which is it's a theme store, but it like cycles its theme, so it does Halloween and then it does Christmas and then it does beach and pool supplies. Called State Fair. It's a great store, but they're Halloween, and I took him there the other day, and it was like taking him to Disney World because Tristan is just a cosplay nut.
How many masks did he buy?
No. I told him we're not buying anything. You just can look. Like okay. He loved just looking, and he said this was the best day ever, just looking at all the different things, which I loved. And then I told him, well, you know, Fun Ghoul is like that all year round, and so I have taken to Fun Ghoul now. So.
Nice.
Hey, Lilith. Yes. I just found out yesterday the mall. When you were here, we drove past that mall. I guess every Monday this month they're doing like a pet day from like 6 to 9 every Monday this month. People can like bring their dogs.
I was gonna say, are you gonna get my little Luca a bunny? Can he have a bunny?
Maybe.
Bunnies are cool. They're clean. They're smart. And you can put them out in the garage.
Bunny?
Yeah, actual bunny. They're the best pets to start out with, I think.
Okay. Oh, okay. See, I thought you were asking if he was going to get your dog a bunny, but Luca now.
Yeah, Luca.
Okay, yeah. Because all I was thinking was all the bunnies that my dogs played with didn't end well.
My dogs don't have a high prey drive. They don't.
Yeah, well, you have indoor dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always had outdoor dogs. Our dogs lived in the backyard, and so it's like, hey, look, a bunny.
We do have a rat terrier, so I've been very hesitant about getting bunnies. But I'm like a big rabbit aficionado. I think they're just the coolest. Yeah. You can walk them on a leash eventually.
Watch that terrier.
Smart. You can kitty litter train them.
You can? I didn't know you could kitty litter train a rabbit.
Yep, you sure can.
Okay. Well, good.
Food for thought for people.
I don't know if I have the patience to train anything. I can barely train my children. So I trained my children to use a toilet. That's as far as I'm going. And they did most of the work. I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, that's a toilet. That's where you go to the bathroom. Do that there from now on.
No Cheerios.
And eventually they got tired of having poop in their pants, and they said, okay, yeah, you know, I'm going to use the toilet because that's like way more comfortable than having to have a diaper. Diapers are not comfortable. And that's how literally, that's how you train humans to use the bathroom. Is the child eventually realizes, I don't want to sit in my own filth. I'm going to use the toilet. Because you don't put dogs in diapers, you actually have to have a whole conversation and train them to do this.
And when you have other dogs, it's easier. They pick up on it more. So
Okay, well, yeah, because probably the other dogs are tired of dealing with their bull. Their bull, you know. It's like just use the dang paper. Just go outside, whatever it is you do. Whether you have them do it on paper or you have them go to the door and say, "Come on."
Outside. And then my boyfriend cleans it up.
Okay, good. Yes, you do pick up afterwards.
Oh, yes.
Which is why
Anywho,
the
all
plastic
right.
bag industry will always be a part of American culture.
So,
Because we actually recycle our plastic bags all the time.
so
You
all right.
know.
So much for the lifestyles of Lilith Hellfire's rich and pampered dogs. Anything else before we get out of here?
Nope, that's it. We talked sex, politics, and Doctor Who, and comic books. We did it all.
Sex, Doctor Who comics. That's our biography. All right. Charlie Esther, if anyone wants to offer you a $50,000 or more a year job, where can they contact you?
That's only if you want me to run your whole HR department, which is a bargain. It's a bargain. That is a discounted rate because I don't have a degree, and you know that. But I'm the guy that can get the job done, and I'll do it for less. Think about that.
Lowball yourself. Come on.
Well, no, I'm not lowballing myself. I'm being honest about what my credentials will get me, but I'm also honest about what I'm worth. You know, it goes up to 58. You know, I say 58. That was my highest rate. That's where I want to get back to. I mean, I'd love to do more. Don't get me wrong. I'll take whatever you're going to give me. But if you want me to run your whole HR department, it starts at 50, and we can work our way up as I prove myself to you. Because you're taking a risk on me, I'm taking a risk on you. I understand that, but don't lowball me if you want me to run your whole HR department. Okay, if you would like to write to me in an old-fashioned email way, the way our moms and pops once did, you can actually do so at my AOL address, which is CHASESSER@AOL.com. That's my main AOL address, man. There you go, private information, man. You're only going to get it on this episode, or you can do it in the professional way at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me on Twitter for, I don't know, some reason.
It's just a shield to be back.
Yeah, at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIEESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality.
Lil Hellfire, Master Pet Wrangler. Where can people contact you?
You can find me at Lilith Hellfire every Monday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, live tweeting The Gifted when I'm not yelling at my boyfriend to shut up, so I can watch the dang show. For everything else, at Adventures in FG, that's Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, check out the website while it's still there, adventuresinfangirling.com.
Is it going away?
It might. I'm working on a project. I'm going to see how much time I have between the move and my new job responsibilities, but
gotta check it out.
Coming.
I've been there like only once or twice, but I haven't really absorbed the fullness of Adventures in Fangirling yet. So I should get my fangirl on while I still can, so I can say I remember when. I remember when she just started at Adventures at Fangirl.
Nostalgia, the drug of choice for old people like us.
Okay. And Phil, how can people find you?
And us.
If you want to discuss nostalgia or other drugs with me, you can email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am at nightwingpdp. And follow for all of our shows, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. Send us we want to hear from you people. Stockton, where are you? Facebook.com/capesandlunatics, @capeslunatics on Twitter. And remember, we have the voicemail.
Call me on the cell phone.
614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES.
Wow.
As you can probably tell from this week, we'll listen to anything, just about anything. Any thought you have. All right. So thank you once again. Next week, I guess, will be our big Justice League talk.
Yay!
Hooray.
Did you hear Lilith tear it apart?
Yeah. I may not be there.
And that's okay. We understand.
That's all right. I think between me, Lilith, and Tyler, we can tear it apart like a pack of lions.
Leave a voicemail, Charlie.
Yeah.
If I see it, that's the problem. I might not be there because I might not get the chance to see it before you record. That's my problem.
Right.
Just say, I knew it was bad.
I was going to say, just pretend. I saw some reviews that said, I think the characters are good, but the narrative is like a mess.
That's the story.
So it's a DC movie. Basically. Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
I told you that's why they're gonna flashpoint the whole thing. The old Days of Future Past treatment.
This is really long.
But please don't wipe our timeline. Goodbye.